Hello everyone, if you want to know everything about the big patch note on Diablo 4 and the content coming with the Season 2 on the 17th of October, I made you a sign up so you'll have everything that you should know. First, let's start with the uniques, and you have this one which can increase your maximum resistances. This one which will be very good for the Barbar because you'll have more damage when you are under berserking and also grants you cooldown reduction and fury per second. For the Druid you have Boulder which will follow Hurricane when you cast it, and for the Rogue the fact that you can land Cold Traps, Poison Trap or Death Trap when you have unlimited energy from Inner Sight. Then you have for the Necromancer increased damage for overpowered damage when your minions hit an enemy. And for the Sorceress, another one which is walking around Ice Pack. It's not the only thing about Ice Pack, you also have this Ice Pack setup a bit later in the patch note. Then you have the fact that when you stun, freeze or immobilize an enemy, damage a boss, it will pull enemies so it can help you to clean faster dungeons, and this one reducing your cooldown when you evade through an enemy. Then increase damage when you are unstoppable, and this one a chance for your damage over time to erupt, dealing damage. After that you have your healing potion, which is a barrier and not a healing. It will also grant you some damage reduction, and this one granting you an overpower attack but also an overpower which will deal more damage if it's a critical strike. For the aspect you have two aspects which are very powerful and that you must know about. First one, increased damage 30% or 50% multiplicative damage, so it's very important. If you play Werebeer you must be playing this one. You have the other one, this one just here, +1 to your conjuration skills. If you want to play Hydras, it will stack with 3 times, so +3 to your Hydra skills. Also, very important to take, you'll see that Hydra Sorceress will be kinda broken. For the Glyphs, the first one on the Barbarian will be on the Dust Devil, not very interesting. Second one, Earthquake, also a bit tricky to build around. Then for the Druid, first one around Lightning Balls and Dancing Balls, also not very easy to build around, but this one will be very good. Earth skill grants critical strike damage, and also you have some lucky hit chance. For the Necromancer, if you want to play Corpse build, you must play this one, which will deal increased damage for your Corpse skill, and this one not very interesting, which is based on Desecrate Ground. For the Rogue, you have this one building around Stun Grenade, not very easy, and this one based on Intelligence, so it increases your shadow damage but will cost you some intelligence on it. Lastly, for the Sorceress, you have the Ice Spike damage, which can be good if you play Blizzard, and the Conjuration skill, so once again, if you play Hydras, you want to take this glyph in your build. You also have some quality of life upgrades, for example the stashes and the fact that it will be easier to unshot your items, the fact that gems will no longer drop as a regular source, and also increase power of items in function of the level, which is very interesting. If you start playing at 100 level, you start dropping 830 plus items. That means if you play at 130, you'll have 860 item level at the very least, so it will definitely change the way that we farm in Endgame. After that, we have some quality of life on the dungeons, nothing very fancy, but just it will be more convenient to use, and something very important, endgame activities. You want to play legends, they'll give you more experience, and you also want to play world bosses because they'll have better rewards even if they are harder to kill. Also, both of these activities will enable to target the endgame bosses, so it's very important to do them, and also the Legion will grant you a Whisper, because also Whisper must be done in order to trigger a boss. So make sure to do both of these activities. After that we have some quality for the months, for the tons and so on, nothing very fancy there, and we have also an experience update which is very important. First instance will grant you some bonus experience, and then this one you have a party bonus which is multiplicative, so now it's important to play in party if you want to get faster experience. So make sure to be in a party of 4 players in order to quickly reach some experience. Also it will be easier to get level 100 in this patch. The new big thing is also about resistances. It's easy to understand. You need to cap every resistance at 70%. This one, you want to have this goal when you are around level 80. So make sure to have 70% to everything, and your armor will only reduce the damage that you take, the physical damage that you take. So elemental resistances are just like in Diablo 2, for example. Then we have the damage update for overpower, critical strike and vulnerable. There's a few things that you need to understand. First, overpower will be now much stronger, so you can enable overpower builds. Then critical strike and vulnerable will be boosted in order to not have this debuff, because it's now not possible to play vulnerable and critical strike. So make sure to not play this at the same time, except if you have some power. For example, the unique at the beginning that I mentioned, which can help you to play both because you have a synergy between overpower and critical strike, but otherwise either you play overpower or critical strike or vulnerability. Now let's talk about the classes, and for the Barbarian there is something very important. You must be berserking in your build. If you're not, you lose a ton of damage because the damage is now multiplicative instead of additive. So make sure every time that you hit something that you are under berserking. Then in a nutshell, basically they increase a bit the power of overpowering Barbarian, and there's also an interesting unique just a bit below this one, which will increase the damage that enemies take. So between 30 and 50% bonus damage when you use the steel grabs, so this one will be very interesting to use. It's only for you, not in a party, and it doesn't work on bosses, but it will help you to clear very fast dungeons, for example. There's also something new about the Barbarian, is that they make some changes for the Paragon setup. For example, this one, which will help you to build around overpower. Basically, they are just now stronger than before. For the Druid, no big change. You have a buff on rabies and on ravens, but just keep in mind the first aspects that I mentioned, increasing your damage in Werebeer, and also Earthen Bulwark is not nerfed, so it will be one of the best builds to keep playing with. For the Necromancer, you have some very good buffies to the summoning. For example, you can inherit critical chance to your minions, they'll do more damage, they'll be more tanky, and you'll have also buffies to the third minions, so it will be a good time if you want to play summoners on the season 2. You have some good nerf on the Bone Spear, this one and also another one in the Paragon, but keep in mind that Bone Spear will be less stronger than now. Lastly, the Blood Necromancer will be quite strong with the new buff of the overpowering setup. For the Rogue, also nothing very much fancy about it, you'll just have a buff of its basic attacks, and also something to keep in mind is that its ultimate, the Rain of Arrows, will now be more interesting if you combine it with a good unique item. Lastly, for the Sorcerers, you have some modification. If for example you want to play Incinerate and you'll be more mobile, but there's something very important to understand is the Hydra setup, which has been crazy buff, and you have also plenty of insane buffies for the Conjuration setup. So Hydra will probably be one of the most broken builds on the season 2, make sure to play it if you want to. And you also have lastly something very interesting at the end of the patch note. This one, the Lightning Nova, will now deal multiplicative damage based on your intelligence. So it's a bit tricky, you need to have this item and to build around, but it's something very strong. So make sure if you want to play Lightning Nova to have this setup with this unique item. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you'll have all that you need on this new patch, and if of course you have a question, feel free to post in the comments, I'll be happy to answer you.